This will be the second video on setting up quotations for Essay 4. Now, as you might remember, on the first video, I told you that you should download this PDF file, Guide to Using Sources in Essay 4, and it will look like this. Okay, so make sure that you have downloaded and printed off, preferably, this source. Now, the first video explained the basics. It showed you how to set up lead-ins, the quotes themselves, and citations where necessary. This video will focus on some special situations. If you pull up your Guide to Using Sources and you scroll down to page 2, you will see a section that says Other Notes. And you'll see some notes on ellipses and brackets. Now, you need to use ellipses when you are taking out words from a quotation. And you use brackets when you are adding information or you are changing the formatting of something. So let's talk about ellipses first. Why might you need to use ellipses? Well, one very important reason is that your quotes can only be up to 4 typed lines. So many of you may just need to shorten quotations because of space. The other reason that you might need to shorten a quotation is because you want to take out unnecessary information or parts that don't really work with the point you're trying to make in the essay itself. So I'm going to pull up an example article. This is the same article that I used in the first video. And I want to scroll down and show you a section as an example. So, let's see. All right, here we go. This is a good section to give an example of what I'm talking about. So let's just read this section. Offering remedial classes online has become a key strategy for colleges and universities hoping to save money and move students out of basic skills classes into courses they get credit for. The ultimate goal is to get more students to graduate faster so they can make room for other students. And then there's a quote from an education professor. In the traditional classroom, you're paying for a teacher in front of a classroom, you're paying for that building time, said Stanford University education professor Eric Bettinger. If we can cut costs for these types of programs, we might be in the position of offering something that has the same efficacy that would save money. So let's say that you read this article and you decided, yes, I really like this quote from Bettinger. I'd like to use it in my essay. So how would you set that up? Well, the first thing you'll notice is that the article just starts with the quote itself. But on your essay, you are required to start with a lead-in that tells me who's speaking and gives that person's credentials. So let's start here. All right, so here's an example. And you'll notice that I gave the credentials that were noted in the article itself. Stanford University education professor Eric Bettinger explains the benefits of moving remedial classes to an online format. And you'll notice that I have a colon here. That is because the lead-in is an entire sentence. So when you have a complete sentence as the lead-in, you must use a colon to separate the lead-in from the quote itself. So then I start the quote. And how do I do that? Well, I have this first part, right? I've copied that over, and then I've gone directly into the second part. But that's not how it looks on the original article. In the original article, the information about the speaker is in the middle here. So we have taken something out. And that means we need to put in ellipses. And those ellipses tell the reader, hey, at this point, I have taken out some information from the original article. So that's what you want to do, okay? And then at the end, we put quotation marks, and of course we have a citation because our author's name is not in the lead-in. Remember that your author's name must be in the lead-in or in the citation. It must be in one of those at least one time. So you would put QTD for quoted in, and Rivera is the author's name, last name. And you put a period after the citation itself. So no period before the last set of quotations only after the citation. So that's one thing that you can do. Okay? Now I'm going to scroll down to another example. Let's say instead of writing that entire sentence as a lead-in, that you just do a simpler lead-in with just a present tense verb and a comma. Stanford University education professor Eric Bettinger explains, comma, in the traditional classroom, you're paying for a teacher in front of a classroom, you're paying for that building time. If we can cut costs for these types of programs, we might be in the position of offering something that has the same efficacy that would save money. And you'll notice that I kept the ellipses and I kept the citation the same, but I've added this explanation in brackets. And the reason that I've done that is because if your reader has not read the article, then the reader might not know what the speaker means by these types of programs. Now you would know that because you've read the article itself, right? And that previous paragraph is saying, hey, offering remedial classes online has become a key strategy. So when Bettinger is being quoted, you understand that when he's saying these types of programs, he means remedial classes. Your reader may not know that, so you have to add an explanation in these brackets. All right, so remember, ellipses are for when you've taken information out. Brackets are for when you are adding information like an explanation. All right, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me.